going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web here on a Manic Monday. You know what that means. I had a bad day at work today. So what do we do here to take my mind off of work? What do we do here to take my mind off that embarrassing display by the Florida State Seminoles? What the hell was that? Was exactly what I was asking myself on Saturday. How do we start off this show as we always do here on a Monday, a Wednesday, after Bucs games, before Bucs games, during Bucs games? You know them, you love them, you got to have them. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. Once again, I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Tonight, we're supposed to have Mr. Gene Thomas, Buck What You Heard, to talk about what else, give his thoughts on that Bucs game on Friday night. As we were there at Raymond James Stadium, I don't know, a lot of people tuned into it. I think some people tuned in. I was up pretty late. It was a late game. We were live from Raymond James Stadium. Of course, before we get to that, I want you to go to this new website, thesportsweb.live. Definitely get on that, where you'll be able to see all the content of the evolution of Sports Talk Television. On top of that, we are definitely having our show put on. It's on Apple Podcasts now, Spotify. So the Sports Web is definitely getting more visibility and more of an opportunity to not only see this, because some people can't take my face when I'm upset or have a bad day at work. So you can go ahead and listen. That's what you can do. But anyway, it was late. So I definitely want to talk to you Bucs fans tonight about that big-time win over the Miami Dolphins. I get it. It's the end of preseason. And I guess my question for the night is, do you feel confident? Because 13 days away, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will take on the Washington Commanders on September 8th. Do you feel confident this team is ready? Again, open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Bucs already making cuts. The surprising one would have to be Sterling Shepard, although it should not surprise you. By the way, we'll also have J.C. Allen of Sports Illustrated, as he'll be calling in and giving his thoughts, because the Bucs have made a lot of cuts over the last couple days. Just made one about an hour and a half ago. DJ Williams is done. We'll see if some of these players end up on the practice squad. But the 31-year-old wide receiver and Shepard, they still may bring him back, according to Ian Rappaport. So are you surprised by it? I'm not. Because he was never able to get a chance to play. He was injured. The potential is there. Shepard's a veteran wide receiver, so they may still bring him back on the practice squad. Other guys being cut, notable names, Zach Trainer, no longer your long snapper. So that was kind of surprising. CJ Brewer, who showed out, he's gone now. Also, this, according to Greg Auman of Fox Sports, the Bucs are waiving second-year corner Keenan Isaac. So now there are 9 cuts today and 8 moves to get to 53. And that has to be done by tomorrow. So it looks like Eugene Brown has made this team. That was a player, the 6th defensive lineman. We talked to JC the other night, and he said something about that. Brown has really showed up. So still some moves to be made until, this roster is set. But the fluidity, Leo word, like that? That's good. Pretty good word there, SAT word. The fluidity of this roster is still there, because there could be some cuts from some other teams, and don't be surprised that the Bucs pick up those players. But this roster is nearly set. I want to hear from you guys tonight. What's the confidence level with this Bucs team going in to the regular season against Washington? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. CD Lamb, congratulations to him. 34 million reasons why he's now in a Dallas Cowboy uniform. So congratulations to him. could there be an impact to that contract or from that contract with the Chris Godwin situation? Because you all know how I feel about Godwin and how I definitely think he could show out this year, especially being put in his natural position of slot, being in that Liam Cohen offense. If he shows out, then he's going to definitely make it difficult for the Bucs because, as you know, Godwin, to me, is a number one wide receiver. Could be a number one wide receiver on somebody else's team. So could that contract have any effect on that possible contract next year? So we'll talk about that a little bit. And once again, get your thoughts. Who stood out to you? Let's go out to the webheads here. Let's go out to KR. First evening, guys. Go Bucs. Go Bucs.
Let's go!
Go Bucs.
How about them Bucs, baby?
Go Bucs. Whoa, there it is. Uh-oh. There we go, right there. All right, Scott says, let's go Bucs. Let's go Bucs.
Let's go!
Let's go out to Christopher O'Reilly. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to you.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Tim here. Good evening, Peter. Good evening to you.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, Facebook stars are open. I really appreciate some of you guys donating to the cause. You know, I like to get on here and do some great content and talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ad nauseum. Sometimes we do talk race. Sometimes we do talk Lightning, but predominantly we talk about the Bucs and around the NFL. But if you have a chance to give to the content with Facebook stars, I appreciate that. And also YouTube super chats, which, by the way, the last 30 days, YouTube, we've been trying to improve that. So special shout out to Robert Reno and his daughter Courtney Reno doing bang up work because we are at 2,900 views the last 30 days. Not bad. And that's definitely because of the content and what they're doing and the hard work they're putting in there over at Amped Up Sports. So I really appreciate it. With that being said, thank you, Tim, for tuning in. Christopher Cole, evening, fellas. Cuts are pretty much done. Almost done. Almost to the decision of who's going to be your final roster. Who's going to be the final 53? Do you have any surprises at this point? Besides Shepard, Tanner Canoe was cut. That's not really a surprise, but he did have a couple moments in this preseason. Maybe he makes the practice squad. We'll get the latest from J.C. Allen. Haven't heard anything from Gene Thomas, a Buck, which you heard. So I'm assuming either he forgot or fell asleep. It happens. It happens on Monday. So we'll take your phone calls and read your comments. As always, no Harry the Greek. Don't know where he's at. Don't know. Don't know where Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy's at. Don't know. I have no idea. I just don't know at this point. But maybe they'll be around. Hello, Ric Flair of Bucs Radio. You've been putting that out there, Broadway. I appreciate that. That is probably the greatest wrestler of all time, so I'm okay with that. Woo! Thank you. I really do appreciate that. Hey, the Sports Web, what's going on? Plunder?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at who decided to make an appearance whenever he wants to make an appearance. You know what he's going to say? He's going to say, I didn't think you were coming on tonight. But of course I'm going to come on tonight. You know why? Because we got 13 days. 13 days. Count them. Number 13. Probably one of my favorite Tampa Bay Buccaneers of all time. And Mike Evans. I said 13. Did you hear me, Bucs Nation? Did you hear me, Bucs fans? 13 days until the start of the NFL season. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Prayers for WWE, WCW, Sid Vicious, family, and friends. Yes, he passed away today. We talk about wrestlers on this show and Turnbuckle Talk on Wednesday night. So we'll talk about that on Wednesday, but yes, he passed away of cancer. Cancer. Can we just all say that together? 63 freaking years old and passes away from cancer. God, we got to find a cure for that disease. Can we do that? Is that a possibility one of these days? Is it a possibility? Have enough people died at this point? I'm just saying. All right. 14-3. Let's go out to Roger Shue, R.I.P. Sid Vicious. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate you.
Acknowledge me.
Let's go out to Richard Tyroka, one of the first callers on this show. You didn't know that? He was on Bucs Report there. First caller, most surprised, Zach Trainer, long-time long snapper, also C.J. Brewer. Thank you very much, Richard. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All the way from California, Cali. You got to love that. We got people calling from North Carolina, Broadway from North Carolina. Of course, that's why mentions Ric Flair. He's probably in that Charlotte area. That's where they think that, that's Ric Flair country. You got people from Wisconsin, the heel mark, Costa Rica, Germany. It's international here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Love it. Yes, I'm confident we're going to win the NFC South Championship. Love it. I'm high on this squad. We gotten better over the offseason for sure. Absolutely love it. Almost everyone has cleared waivers at this point, so you would expect this Buccaneer team to pick up some of these players and put them on the practice squad unless they get picked up by somebody else. Again, they've cleared waivers, so there's always a possibility, but we'll see. Scott Broadway says, Chris and Mike have been my favorite players for years now. Richard says, I was hoping safety Marcus Banks was going to make it. He did not make it. He's not on this team. Great hits the other night. I mean, I thought he was going to saw the wide receiver in half, basically speared the wide receiver in Goldberg fashion. If you're wrestling fans, you know what that's all about. Levante David and Rashad White are some of the others. The Plunder, thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Broadway. Vita Vea is another one of my favorites. Boy, did he wreck shop the other night. Did you see that game? Did you see what a svelte, Leo Word again, 305, 320, how much weight he lost, how fast he was, quick as a cat. He was already quick, playing at 320, 340, maybe 360. I don't know. I don't weigh the guy. But look at the television set. He's a big hoss, as my uncle would used to say. In the middle, but he's definitely cut down. He's still pretty big, and he's looks like he's even faster and more athletic. Ben Cornett from Las Vegas, good evening to you, my friend. And Roger Shue, we will acknowledge you. Caleb is my
Acknowledge me.
So without further ado, let's go ahead and go out to my long-lost co-host, who will be with us on Saturday afternoon when Bethune-Cookman comes to town, because we cover USF football. Excited about that program. So it'll be yours truly. It'll be Harry the Greek. It'll be Best of the Bay, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy. And of course, it'll be the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty. But this guy right here will be with us officially. He is a made man on the sports web. Was always a made man. Deserved to be a made man. I can't say enough about him. He's a handicapper extraordinaire. He knows his stuff. Here we go. Professional handicapper extraordinaire. He works hard. Mr. Harry the Greek, welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend. And all I want to say is, and I don't know if you saw it or not, but congratulations.
No. Oh, yeah. I seen it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll pat you on the back for you, because you always say that you feel like the third or fourth wheel. You're not on this show. You're definitely not a third or fourth wheel. You're definitely a big part of this show and what this show
just the handicapper. Peter, how the hell are you doing, buddy? Can you believe it? Can you smell that?
It smells like football to me. I'm hoping.
It smells like football season, Peter.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does smell like football season. CeeDee Lamb, he's rolling in the money right now.
Here comes the money.
Let's talk about that and that contract and possibly the impact that it could have on the Bucs situation with Chris Godwin. $34 million a year. Second highest paid wide receiver in NFL history. CeeDee Lamb, your thoughts on that contract, which took forever, it seems like, as Jerry Jones was dragging his heels on it, being the knuckle dragger that he is. But God, that guy is rich. He's got money, and he made a lot of money today by signing CeeDee Lamb, which definitely helps Dak out in that offense, right?
Yeah, it does. Now, which one do you want me to answer first? The CeeDee Lamb signing, or what that's going to happen?
Well,
what that's going to do to Mike Evans?
Let's go with CeeDee Lamb, and then let's see what he's going to do to Chris Godwin in your opinion.
He's a great wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, they would have been screwed had they not, picked him up. He's still young, very explosive, great hands. Can't say enough about that young man, especially when he was coming out of college. Everybody knew that he was going to be a can't-miss type of prospect. But is he? Seriously? Is he? Peter, go back to the two-shot, because I have some questions for you.
Well, yeah, give me questions.
How old is Mike Evans?
Mike Evans is 31 years old.
This has no comparison. His next contract with the Buccaneers isn't going to be close to what CeeDee Lamb is getting just because of that age. Right. So it's not really fair to compare the two. He's getting his money. Dallas is stupid for paying him all that kind of money because, as you know, every year, man, there is a plethora of wide receivers that are coming out of college that you can run on your rookie deals, keep your team young, and make sure they're going to continue to play. That's why the Kansas City Chiefs are so successful. Who do they pay all that money to? Hang on, wait a minute. The Cowboys, did you read about that? Sorry, Cowboy fans, but I heard your season's already over. You missed the playoffs again.
Yeah, certainly a possibility. Although with that division, you would think it's a 2-team race. Although who knows what the Giants are going to do at this point with Daniel Jones. But going back to it, you kind of jumped the shark there. I said Chris Godwin, not Mike Evans. Chris Godwin.
Okay, sorry, that's right. Not Chris Godwin's. Well, he can get paid, and you know what? He'll be on his third deal. Correct? He was on his rookie. He's already got his. No. It's that's right. Didn't they franchise tag him?
They re-signed him. They re-signed him to an extension, so he's coming up for another deal here. I'll tell you what. Let's hold up on that.
Wait a minute.
Let's go out to our phone calls here. Let's go out to Frankie from Wisconsin, the Hillmark himself.
Unless he's a Green Bay Packer fan, I can't.
He's not a Packer fan. They're definitely not a Packer fan. Frankie has been a long-time webhead on this show. He's calling.
I'm kidding. I know who Frankie.
What's going on, Frankie? Welcome to the Evolution.
Greek, you should know me better than that. I hate the Packers more than anything, man.
Well, I mean, anything that comes from Wisconsin. You guys got holes in your head up there, holes on the hats. I mean, it's a Green Bay thing.
What do I got to do? I got to do this? I can go, wow, 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 wow. Green
Bay sucks.
Exactly.
Man, Frankie, I think I'm a little loopy. I mean, we're talking about, Chris Godwin and CD Lamb, and I'm going right to Mike Evans. Why? I don't know. It's dementia's fault.
I want to tell you something real quick, Greek. Let me tell you something. Buccaneers are my team. Mm-hmm. My number 2 team is the Lions because of Barry Sanders. Me and Peter have talked about this quite in depth.
Why? Why do I got to hang up on him? He hates Barry Sanders. Listen, Frankie, Barry Sanders is most likely, if not the greatest running back all time besides Walter Payton. But he's an absolute buck killer. And who could forget, what was it, 88 yards with one shoe against
a buck killer? He was in every team in the National Football League killer.
He killed the Bucs almost every freaking year. That's what Frankie's talking about.
He killed everybody.
Yes.
Barry Sanders killed everybody. Yes. He's my all-time favorite player, period. And my third favorite team would be the Vikings because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I hate the Packers.
Well, you got a Bears fan on here. Well, so you got to watch out.
I like the Bears as my number 4 team because they hate the Packers just as much as the Vikings.
You got too many favorite teams. You got to stick with one, my friend.
Just curious. Are you a Raider fan too? Because I'm a Raider fan.
Well, I mean, you got AFC teams. I mean, come on, man.
2 teams.
2 teams.
The Buccaneers and whoever's playing the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Period.
Okay. All right.
There you go.
Okay. All right.
See, I'm liking this guy now.
All right.
Well, we're talking about CD Lamb.
Yeah.
Did he really deserve that money?
Sure.
I mean, I think he was targeted.
CD.
Listen, he was targeted 13 times all throughout that offense. He was predominantly their biggest weapon. And if you don't have him, Dak Prescott is basically, I mean, that's how your offense is going to be.
Anyway, so what are you telling? Well, I'm just saying, Dak Prescott is not that great. I'm just saying.
Well, but he'd be a lot worse if he doesn't have CD Lamb. That's for sure.
If he ain't got CD Lamb, he ain't got nothing.
Okay, well, that's the reason why you pay him all that money in the first place. You have to. You're forced to.
That money because could you imagine if CD Lamb had a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes? Dear God.
Well, it'd
Put me in the back room for a minute. I have a very important Mr. Plethora of knowledge, Leo Haggerty calling.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Maybe we'll get Leo on tonight here on a Monday, and I'm going to go through these.
Leo, look at you go.
I'm going to go through these numbers really quick. 2023, 135 receptions, 1,700 over 1,700 receiving yards, 12 touchdowns. 2022, 107 receptions, 9 touchdowns, nearly 1,400 yards. 2021, 79 over 1,100 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns. In 2020. So he's gotten better. He's went from 74 his first year, 79, 107, 135. So he definitely deserved to get paid. It is what it is. What are the Cowboys willing to pay? What are you worth at the end of the day? He's definitely worth a lot. My question is, does it affect, or is there any Bucs fans out there that are kind of concerned that if Chris Godwin does have the type of year that we think he could in the slot, would that affect his next contract with the Bucs and that extension?
Well, let me just tell you like this. Godwin is, in my opinion, I think he's better than CD. I think Evans is better than CD.
Okay.
I think we have the most underrated wide receiver core in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Plain as day. Mike Evans is the GOAT. I don't care what anybody says. I will argue that till the cows come home. Mike Evans is the GOAT as wide receiver currently in the NFL.
Okay.
There is nobody better than Mike Evans right now in the NFL. I'll make that argument against Justin Jefferson. I'll make that argument against CeeDee Lamb. You tell me another wide receiver that has had 11 consecutive is it 13?
Well, it's 10. It's 10, and he'll
10
go for the record this
consecutive
year.
seasons.
Yes.
Going on 11
Yes.
with 1,000+ yards. Tell me another one that has done that.
With different quarterbacks. I mean, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing numbers, but the reason why he doesn't necessarily get his pub is because he's not a diva. He doesn't come out in the media. He goes about his business. And furthermore, a lot of people say that he drops some passes. He does drop some passes, but every wide receiver does that. Overall, the consistency of Mike Evans has been amazing.
Well, let me also tell you this, and this is something that a lot of people don't like to mention, but us Buccaneer fans are clear as day. We'll throw this in anybody's face.
Sure.
Tampa Bay gets pooped on more than anybody in the media. Mike Evans does not get the pub because why? He's playing for Tampa Bay.
Well, I looked at Cody Benjamin today, who works for CBS Sports, and he had the top 10 wide receiving duos. And by the way, the Bucs were not in that top 10. So, and they may have, and I said this on the post-game show on Friday night, that they may have not only the two top receivers, the two top 3 wide receivers with Jalen McMillan, and what he can do as a number 3 wide receiver in this offense. So the NFL needs to take notice. The fan base needs to take notice that this offense could be highly explosive this year. As we go back to the Greek. I know you do here. Welcome back to the Evolution. So, Frankie, what else?
That's one thing I want to say is our wide receiver core is the most underestimated wide receiver core in the NFL.
You agree with that, Greek?
Right.
Do you agree with that? Underestimated, because this poll that just came out from Cody Benjamin of CBS Sports, they had the CBSSportsline.com, I believe. They had the top 10 wide receiving duos, and once again, the Bucs getting the national disrespect as they've done the last couple of seasons here. We're not on that list with Evans and Godwin. You agree with that?
So the most underrated is who?
The top 10, the Bucs were not on it at all.
I don't know how that's. Well, you know what? I'm kind of glad that they're not in the top 10, because just like last year, they just like the year before, they just don't get the credit that they deserve. Of course, they're a top 10 wide receiver group. They're going to be a top 10 offense. I mean, it's ridiculous not to have this team ranked higher.
Yeah.
Again, stop listening to the fake news media. Sorry, I'm not trying to get political, but that's exactly what it is. Peter, you've asked me numerous times, hey, did you hear so-and-so what they said? And what's my typical answer? Who?
Who?
Who's Colin Cowherd? I mean, and then I had to look it up. I don't give a damn who these people
are. Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Okay, do you know who I do know? I remember a guy named Chris Berman.
Yes.
Okay, I remember people like that. I don't even like to watch the game with announcers because it's nonsense. Because I handicap professionally by what I see, what the God gave me with my own 2 eyes. I don't need Chris Collinsworth or whatever his name is telling me they should win because of this. It's
Dude,
you know what I'm talking about.
Commentators when I'm playing Madden, man, because I don't want to hear that.
No, but seriously, am I surprised? No, I'm not surprised. They don't get any love down here. They're not Philadelphia. They're not Chicago. They're not New York. They got Chicago going to the Super Bowl this year. I love my Chicago Bears, but really, Caleb Williams hasn't even taken a snap yet. Can we see what the young man's going to do? Give me a break.
Right. I've already crowned him the top quarterback in the National
Oh,
Football.
no. They've already crowned. Now get it, okay? DJ Moore, he's a stud. Keenan Allen's a stud.
Yeah.
Roma Dunze is going to be a stud. I mean, on paper, man, they're just an unbelievable offensive juggernaut.
Sure.
Can we take a snap in football before we do that?
Well,
Piss on the ratings.
That's what we do here on the Evolution. Frank,
I hate that. Speculating. I hate it.
Dude,
That's what we do.
I love Rome.
Yeah.
I love Rome. And when he takes the field, I just want to hear him play the B-52s. Rome, if you want to.
Oh, my God.
All right.
Roam
that.
around the world.
Listen, we ain't going to.
Is that what they're going to do in Chicago? Are you serious?
We ain't doing that. Definitely not doing that. If they do that, then they missed. I don't know. No.
No, wait a minute. You guys remember when the Bears got Khalil Mack?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the music that was playing 24/7? Return of the Mac. Oh, my God.
Did they really play Return of the Mac when he...
Listen, I'd rather have Return of the Mac than
They
Rome.
were on loop, especially if you guys remember that first game. It was against the Green Bay Smackers. Okay,
Yes.
and in the first half he had like 4 hits and 2 sacks on Aaron Rodgers and a fumble recovery off of him, and it was like the song became #1 in Chicago. 20 years later, for Christ's sakes.
Oh God.
All right, Frankie.
Oh, that's epic. Greek, I got high hopes for your team this year, man. I really do.
Hopes.
But,
all right, he's got high hopes.
The Buccaneers are the juggernaut. I'm just telling you. Madden season, of course, I had to put Rome with the Bucs, but it's not in real life. We know that. But
right. So your confidence level now is Scott. Where's your confidence level 1 to 10 right now, Frankie?
With Tampa Bay?
Yes, right now.
My confidence level is a 20.
Wow. So 1 out of 10 hits a 20. All right, Frankie, on that note.
I'm very confident that we're going to win our division.
I appreciate the call, my friend. Use that second call here on the Evolution, all right?
Will do, man. Will do.
Appreciate you. Good stuff.
See you, Frankie.
Frankie, his confidence level from 1 to 10 is 20. What's yours? Open phone line, 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Let's go out to this guy right here.
Acknowledge me.
Let's go out to Roger Shu, the Tribal Troll, joining us here on a Manic Monday as I got absolutely destroyed on the phone today. So here I am on the Evolution. What's up?
What's up, gentlemen? Greek, thank God you're back. We've missed you.
Yeah, because it was so boring with me hosting the show with everybody else, right?
That's what he told me.
You shut up and be quiet.
Hey, Greekites in the house, baby.
Greekites in the house. Absolutely, yes.
So, Keenan, DJ, Rome, and Caleb is our quarterback. And Caleb, we trust.
So the confidence level for the Bears is what from 1 to 10?
20.
163.
Okay, 163. I mean,
You know what that reminds me of, Peter? That's the skit.
Yes.
You remember the skit from Saturday Night Live?
Yes.
All right, I got a question.
Is
all right?
the plan?
No, now wait a minute. Hold on. If the Bears are playing the Giants, okay, are they the mini Giants or are they the Giants? And is it a mini Dicka or a regular Dicka? What's the score? Okay? Who's going to win? Bears
63-6 or
63 nothing.
Bears 124-0.
Oh, here we go. All right, that's all you get there, Chicagoans or whatever the hell.
All right.
What's on your mind, Mr. Roger Shu? How are you, sir?
Yes.
I'm good, man. I just got a question for you. Did you ever give Mr. Williams his wings yet?
No, he is not. We have not met up with
We're going
Mr.
to have to hear
Williams.
about that all season.
God.
Mr. Williams will be calling back. Mr. Williams reminds me of Freddy Krueger on Halloween, as he'll be in your nightmares. Harry, if you keep it up, if you keep on avoiding that man, he's going to be in your nightmares. He's going to be.
I'm not avoiding the poor
guy. We need to get up with all these I OKR a couple meals, so we all need to get up, have some wings, have some drinks. I'll probably have soda, not drinks. I don't really drink at all. Yeah, I don't.
We've seen that, haven't we, Roger?
Well, no, you've not seen that at all. You've not seen that
I've seen Peter have a drink one time in the 25 years I've known him.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
he was like, "Am I supposed to feel this funny? Am I okay?
You're such
What's
an
going
idiot.
on, man? Do I need?"
Oh my God. All right, so
You should see it when it's puff puff pass.
Oh, geez.
Are you hungry?
Well, there's
I got a taste for chicken wings.
well, I've
Greek,
always
listen to this.
Listen, I don't have to be high
Greek,
in order to eat chicken wings. but
ask
go ahead.
Peter about the brownies.
Yeah, what about the brownies, Peter?
Okay, there was a moment in my life where I was at work, and this is the story, and I'm sticking to it.
Oh God.
I went to the gym. I didn't get my protein bar. I came in work late.
How many brownies did you eat?
2.
Oh,
First time I
Lord.
ever had first time I ever had brownies, and I thought they were homemade because the guy said, "Yeah, I took culinary school," and I was like, believing it because at the time
These are good.
Oh,
yeah.
they were really good. After about 30 minutes, I was doing stand-up and falling on the ground in laughter. And then after that, I passed out for about 7 hours.
Wait. Okay, let's tell the Greek the rest of the story.
What's the rest of the story? That I missed the radio show that I was supposed to do at the time?
No. The part where you were laying on the floor in the break room in a fetal position saying, "I can't feel my legs."
I couldn't feel anything at that point. It was
You're
the first time
lying. Did he really?
Yes, he really did.
Listen, it was the first drug experience.
And Peter's like, "Can we go to Portillo's, dude? I really want to get a hot dog with ketchup on
You're
it."
such an idiot.
Shut up!
Seriously, everybody's like, you feel like you want to eat? I didn't feel like I wanted to eat at all. I felt sick.
They almost called the paramedics for him.
No, they didn't. They did not almost call the paramedics. I was just out for 7.5 hours. Now stop playing around. But the people at the time, it was a bunch of you know what, because they knew.
And
they knew
disclosure, those people no longer work there, and none of these opinions express the nature or any opinions of the sports web, especially Harry the Greek.
Right, exactly. And I didn't do it on purpose. I had no idea at the time. That's it. And again, I'm sticking to that because I didn't know at all. And Roger knew that. So,
well,
all right,
you know what? I'm not
Roger,
I'm not much of a drinker either. Let's be real. 1 beer, I'm buzzed. 2, I'm drunk. 3, I run around naked. It is no bueno for the Greek. You do not let the Greek drink. Trust me.
I do not believe that.
No. This is true. Just ask the wife. Just ask the people at the old banana boat right by Derby Lane.
Between the two of us, we could fill a bottle of Ouzo together.
I don't know about that, Roger. I don't know about that. I don't have any confidence that my professional handicapper extraordinaire partner over here does drink. He does not. I've never seen him drink before either. So,
well, no, you see me with a little bourbon once in a
little
while.
Bourbon.
It's like one.
What was it? One bourbon,
maybe,
1 beer?
No, it's actually just it's 2 bourbons for the Greek. That's
2
buddy,
bourbons.
you don't ever want to get to the third one. Don't you remember the last time I had 2 bourbons? You and I were screaming at each other online.
Well, that's what it was. There you go.
I was the chef of the shit soup that night. Trust me, it was pretty good.
Well, there you go. All right, Roger, you've definitely derailed this show with your nonsense as always, but we appreciate the call. Anything?
Well, now I'm going to get back on track.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yes.
I do not think they will win the division this year.
Okay, who wins the division
Call
and
me
why?
Crazy.
Okay, I will call you crazy.
I'm calling you crazy on that one.
Everybody's calling you crazy on this show.
Okay.
All
well,
right.
Here's my conspiracy theory. I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay, how
Why?
many Falcons have? Hold on.
Hold on, because Kirk Cousins is so good. I gotta ask, seriously.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah. Is he going to come out on a wheelchair? Because I got after game 3, he's going to be carried off in a stretcher.
He's actually got a new and improved walker, so I think he'll be all right.
And the new
did he get a new improved Achilles tendon too?
Did you actually say a new improved locker?
Locker room. He means.
Locker.
Oh, locker. Okay.
No, a walker. Walker.
Oh, a walker. Yes.
Oh, a walker. Oh, you're an idiot then. Okay.
This guy sucks.
Yes. No, honestly, I think the Bucs are going to win the division.
All right. How many wins? How many wins the Bucs have?
I don't know. I'm going to say 10.
10. Okay. All right. 10
I don't know.
wins.
I mean, something around there.
Wow.
Somewhere between 8 and 10. I don't know.
All right. All right, Roger, we got to
What
run.
do you think, Peter?
Well, you know what I think. I think 11-6 at this point. So 11-6
Okay.
Tampa Bay. All right, I'm going to let you go, man. We're going to go with J.C. Allen here of
All right, you
Sports
guys.
Illustrated. We're going to read the rest of these comments. Thanks a lot for the call.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to some of these comments. Why didn't I get to go? WTF. Thank God the Greek is here. Broadway says, I want to know your thoughts on cuts. We'll get that from J.C. Allen, who's all over it. It's been all over it the last couple days. Amazing stuff by J.C. And, of course, yes. Hello, do you need to increase your followers? Do you want to monetize your page? I've already done that, but I appreciate it. Samira, thank you very much. Howard Duran says 8-1 Cowboys. Okay, thanks a lot for the comment.
Oh, yeah.
Broadway says Mike and Chris Vea needs to be franchised, in my opinion. Well, they don't have to franchise Mike. They've already got him signed. Chris, I don't know. And Vea is also signed to an extension, so he's not coming up. So Chris Godwin is the guy that you would worry about at this point if you have any worries as a Bucs fan. Hate the Eagles, most please. We agree with that.
Yeah.
True. Howard again. Saints had our numbers statistical true. Not the last couple of years. Christopher O'Reilly says, Mom, Bucs question. Do you guys think Minnesota trades for a quarterback, or do they trust Darnold to get the job done? We can get back to that in a moment because I want to get to JC. Let's read the rest of these comments. I think it's non. They said, Mom, it's non. Thank you very much. Hey, Harry, Tristan, if Minnesota had any sense, Jameis Winston makes too much sense. I definitely think he's entrenched, if you will, as the backup for the Cleveland Browns. Trade Godwin, cut your losses. Tristan, why do you say that? I agree with Frankie about Chris and Mike. They put in the work as well, and others do not like the drama. Edward Kirby says, Master Peter, we should be top 10, but screw them. What would Romo say? KR says, welcome back, Harry. I know you're excited for Caleb. Good stuff, KR. Thank you.
Yeah.
Broadway says, I've said this multiple times. I love being the underdog. I agree. Scott Bradford, by the way, get the table ready, get the chairs ready. We'll be out there on September 8th for your tailgate. I don't know what time, but I'll be out there for the home game, representing, of course, in collaboration with the JP.
I've got to go hang out with Scott Bradford.
Yes, so hang out at the
super good guy.
Hang out at the tailgate there in front of the stadium with me.
Only if Scott is making the burgers.
Scott's making the food. He's going to bring the food. He's going to bring the Bucs fans, and we're going to bring the nonsense. All right. I'd rather stay under the radar. National media only watches a few teams. The Chris Bermans of the world that watch everything are gone. Let's go out to Scott Broadway again. Thank you, Harry. Christopher Cole, Harry, it's cow turd, not cow herd. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Peter, you need to find a soundbite for me when I call in now. We will work on that for all our callers at this point. They're playing Little Giants, coached by Rick Moranis. Wow. Fire the cannons. Very good.
Hey.
Hold on. That was a very good comment. YouTube Super Chats here, $2. Thank you very much, Frankie.
You got a chicken wing right there.
There you go. I don't drink either. Don't feel bad, Peter. Tim says, no Uzo Harry.
No boy.
Scott, I do drink coffee all day. Hold up on the calls because we're going to run it to JC. I do drink coffee all day, every day, each meal. The Hill Mark ain't calling you crazy. I'm calling you a hater. Nick says, talk some Bears, Harry. We may a little bit later.
Hold on. We're not going to talk Bears right now, but that's Nick. That's the man from TVG FanDuel. If you want an account, okay, and you're out there and you're some serious bettors out there, especially in pari-mutuel wagering, call the Greek, DM me, slide something in there, and I'm going to get you hooked up because there's nobody better than FanDuel TV, buddy.
Well,
Trust me.
FanDuel
TVG.
We definitely need to get him on the sports web to talk some of that. Bucs 11. Okay. Only question is who else is getting pressure on the quarterback besides Diaby and Cansey. Hill Mark, Buccaneers finished 12-5. Fred, Cousins is 17-60 against teams with a winning record.
So people out there, please tell me why Atlanta is going to win this division. Please.
Yeah, I don't know.
Me.
I don't know. Facts, Peter Blake. Thank you very much, Eric. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Let's go out to Scott. We have a Wicked Oak barbecue. I've been in touch, buddy, about start time to come by 4 p.m. game, so we'll have a nice show. I would say 1 or 2 o'clock we'll start the show there. Richard Taroka. I think Baker already has more playoff wins than Kirky Boy. Bucs 2024 division winners. I like that. Let's go out to the hill, Mark. Rome if you want to roam around the world. Eric says, what surprise cuts like the most? And Nick, I'm game. Let's go out to Mr. JC Allen of Sports Illustrated, who we saw at the game there in the press box, sitting right next to me, having plates of food, watching that Bucs game and them and that first drive would be impressive. Yes.
I got to take a picture of this.
What's that? What's he doing? What?
JC knows exactly why I'm taking a picture. JC, can you like look up and give me a smile, buddy?
JC is on video.
Hold on.
There you are. You see it? Look at that. Look at that. That's JC Allen, folks. Usually we get the avatar.
I know. We got JC on the line here. We got him on video. We see his face. What's going on, JC?
This room just got smarter.
You know, just a busy day in the in Bucksland. They got down to their 53-man roster. Made some extra cuts there. Looks like they are locked and loaded to go. There might be one or two maneuvers here as they turn the bottom of the roster, but for the most part, I think they're really comfortable with the team they have. I think they're comfortable with most of the guys they're going to bring back on the practice squad. Straighten my hat a little bit, and I think they're going to sign a lot of these guys back. And again, if I'm watching anywhere, it's offensive line depth. Maybe tackle, maybe interior. Whether that's a practice squad of the 53, but I think I think they're pretty set with their roster right here.
Yeah, I mean, how many more cuts do they got? Give us an update here, because I know just about an hour. They're done. So they're done. Okay. Well, what's the latest here? Because I know DJ Williams got cut. What are some of the players you're surprised by? Sterling Shepard, we let him with that. 31 years old, veteran experience, but was never able to get on the field. He does have that experience in that chemistry, if you will, with Baker Mayfield. Would you expect him to come back on the practice squad? Do you think that's what Jason Knight and this organization is anticipating here?
I think that's what they're hoping. There's definitely a spot open for him. It's up to him if he wants to continue his career. As the guy who was content, right? He was content not playing this year until Baker called him and said, "Hey, what's going on?" Obviously, injuries haven't bounced his way. He was, nicked up several times, came back, got injured again. So there's a spot on the practice squad if he wants it. The final cuts were done.
This year he's been injured?
Yeah, he's been injured.
This year.
Yeah, he hasn't played. He hasn't played at all.
I didn't know that. I did not know this guy has not practiced or anything. So, wow, he still can't even stay healthy.
Well, he practiced. He practiced a little bit, but then got banged up. Then was healthy, practiced a little bit, and then got banged up again. So it's something that he's dealing with some stuff. A lot of guys are, but Greg Auman, the best. My mentor, he broke the rest of the cuts an hour ago, which was John Wolford, Ryan Miller, Luke Haggard. I'll give you positions: quarterback John Wolford, wide receiver Ryan Miller, offensive lineman Luke Haggard, center Avery Jones, linebackers V Jones and Antonio Greer. And the surprising one to me was wide receiver Cody Thompson, which means the Bucs are rolling into the season right now with just 5 receivers. Obviously, wide receiver Raheem Jarrett was placed on injured reserve with designated to return, so he can come back after 4 games. So week 5 is the earliest he'll be able to return. And then obviously, Chase Edmonds, unfortunate news. He's out for the season, dealing with an injury, not really kind of knowing what that was at this time. It started as something kind of nagging and then eventually, kind of deeper than what it was, and he'll miss this season. And it's unfortunate because he had a really strong offseason, really great first day of practice, and then he's kind of been out since then. So, but the Bucs have made their moves. Their 53-man roster is set initially because there's always things and moving parts, but for the most part, like I said, I think they're happy with the way this roster shaken out. I don't see many moves that could potentially come after this, at least on the roster. Practice squad, there's probably some movement that they'll have there.
What surprises you the most about the cuts we're on with JC Allen of Sports Illustrated? It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blick, along with professional handicapper extraordinaire, Mr. Harry the Greek, here on a Monday night. What's the moves that are surprising? CJ Brewer showed some flashes there. You talked about Brown. Is it Eugene Brown who made it as a 6?
Ernest Brown.
Why did I say Eugene? Ernest Brown.
So I think it's Cody Thompson. I think that's one of the biggest ones there. He did everything right, and from what I was told, was in line to be probably wide receiver 6. But at the end of the day, it came down to, do you keep him at wide receiver 6 or do you submit a guy like Tyreek Thunderbird to waivers? And they obviously did not want to take that chance submitting Tyreek Thunderberg to waivers. So they're rolling with 11 defensive backs. And they moved Cody Thompson. He'll probably come back in the practice squad as well as Ryan Miller. And listen, I mean, just because they have 5 receivers going into there, they have multiple elevations. If Sterling Shepard comes back, they have 3 elevations they can use per player. So you can expect one of those on Cody Thompson, Sterling Shepard, etc. for the first 3 weeks, kind of alternating maybe with those guys. And then by week 5, Raheem Jarrett can come back. They'll have to make a move off to someone on the 53-man roster. So we'll obviously see how that plays out. But there is an opportunity for them to, make a move and kind of utilize those guys in the practice squad until a guy like Raheem Jarrett's healthy.
For the people that don't know this out there, when you're cut down to the 53, explain to the people how these players can actually make it to the practice squad and what the parameters are for that. Because a lot of people out there that are watching really don't know. And honestly, you could probably explain that best.
Yeah. So what happens is if you are a vested veteran, I believe it's 6 or more years in the NFL, could be 4. I believe it's either 4 or 6. My apologies, but it's somewhere around there. You do not go through the waiver process. So you are just cut and become a free agent automatically. If you are someone who is not a vested veteran, does not have that time, snaps logged on the offense, games played, etc., you go on waivers. And what that means is you're able to be claimed by any team in the NFL. Waivers go in inverse order of standings. So you're at this point until I think it's week 4, you're going through draft order. So the Panthers would have first dibs, followed by the Commanders, the Patriots, so on and so on. Doesn't matter if trades or anything like that. It's in draft order of where you finish. So if one of those teams puts a claim in and says they want you on their team, they will go on to that team's 53-man roster where they'll have to be for 3 weeks before they can release them. If they go unclaimed, they're free to sign with either the Bucs back to their practice squad, their roster, active roster, or anybody else's roster. So that's kind of how the waiver process works. I will be right back.
Yeah.
Throw me in the lobby. I got to grab my charger from my laptop.
Yeah, no problem. Right there.
See, that's pretty cool because a lot of people really don't know how that actually works, Peter.
Yeah.
And, that's pretty cool that he was concise with those answers on it.
Yep. Let's go out to the Hill Mark. So I need a Ramirez jersey now along with Yaya because Ramirez has been a story in this camp. Jose Ramirez, 6th-round pick, really proved himself and has definitely won a job as we just got breaking news here. Greg Allman broke it. The Bucs are set at their roster. Of course, once again, the fluidity, Leo word, of this roster could it could change. Please shut up. Could change if somebody else is cut. But right now, it certainly seems like the Bucs are set with their roster. Donnie Pepin says or retirement, which for Shepard at this point, keep on. He's continuing to deal with these injuries, nagging injuries. Do you think that could be a case? Because that's automatically what I was thinking about. He's not able to stay on the field, hasn't been able to stay on the field the last couple of years. Do you think there's a possibility that he says, you know what, I'm just retired at this point?
Yes, yes, but I don't even know why the Buccaneers would even think about even trying to bring him back. I mean, the guy can't even go through preseason. He hasn't been on the field hardly at all for 2 straight years. And honestly, didn't the Buccaneers get enough of that from Jones?
Julio Jones and also Gage. Let's go out. That's
right. Justin Gage and Julio Jones. I mean, Russell Gage. But I mean, really, the Buccaneers just went through this again. I mean, why do they want? Man, you need continuity in that locker room. You need consistency, especially what's super important. And I bet you JC would agree with me on this.
Let's go.
Especially with a new OC that's coming in, you want everybody to be as healthy as possible. I mean, look, Sterling Shepard probably still has some in the gas tank, but the body just can't keep up anymore. The mind thinks he can play at 22 years old, but the body's saying it just ain't going to happen.
Yeah, Shepard. I mean, do you think there's a chance here? I know you're not a doctor or play one on TV, or didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night in order to be a doctor.
But he saved a whole bunch of money in his car and switching to Geico, didn't he?
I think I progressed. But no, I think it's a possibility. Yeah, that's why I haven't kind of said it's a lock, and that's why when I Rap beat me by like minute and 30 seconds while I was typing it up, or I would have broke that. But I think it's kind of just due to it's one of those things where you look at it and you're like, he was retired pretty much. You know, he was getting calls. People were interested in his service. He's like, I'm having fun just being a dad and being with my kids, you know, and this is the time where your kids are going back to school and, you know, they're doing activities and stuff, and you want to be a part of that. And the NFL is a grind. It's a busy thing. You have Tuesdays off, and that's about it. The rest of the days you're working, you're at practice, you're doing early mornings, late nights. You know, coaches have it even worse. They're trying to run home for dinner, then run back to the office, stay there till, 10, 11 o'clock, get up, be there for 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's like, does he want to do that grind? He's obviously not feeling 100%. He only came back because kind of Baker gave him a call and tried to rekindle that connection there between them. I don't know. I think he still has a love of the game. But I mean, maybe the Greek hit it on the head. He wants to do things that his body won't let him. So it'll be interesting to see if he comes back. I would not be shocked if he's retired, though. One really interesting, I think the biggest thing about this roster and the biggest thing that stands out to this roster is that of the 53 players on this team, 44 of them were drafted and developed or assigned as undrafted free agents by the Buccaneers.
Wow.
44 out of 53.
That's a testament. That's a testament to the probably the best GM in all of football. I mean, let's just call it what it is.
And Jason Lyon,
year in and year out, baby. Year in and year out.
9 players who were not drafted and developed by the Buccaneers. Obviously, Baker Mayfield, Ben Bredesen, Justin School, Brandon Walton, Greg Gaines, Ernest Brown, Bryce Hall, Tavier Thomas, and Chase McLaughlin. Everyone else on this team was drafted and developed.
JC, you're on a mission. I want you, the next time I talk to you, to see if the Buccaneers have developed more players than any other team. And if not, what other teams actually did that? That's actually a pretty good question.
That's a great question. I want you to save that thought because we got a question from Frankie in Wisconsin using his second call. We're on with JC Allen of Sports Illustrated. You got a question for this guy?
Oh, yes, I do. I was hoping I could get in and ask him a question.
Okay, go for it.
It's $20, sir. Please.
$20. Well, he's already paid $2 there for a YouTube super chat. So
that was for you, Peter. This is
the next one
JC
goes
Allen.
to my PayPal. Yeah.
There you go. Exactly.
Thank you. What's up?
All right, JC. Thank you for taking time for letting me ask you this question. So. We all are very excited about Bart. Clear as day, everybody's excited about Bart. What I want to ask you is, how do you feel the Buccaneers did in the later rounds in the draft to add more depth to our team?
All right, Frankie, I'm going to go ahead and hang up and let you listen.
Wait. Just this draft or the past drafts as well?
Just this draft so far.
Okay, this draft, yeah, I can answer that. We'll start at round 4 because I think that's day 2, or day 3, so count that as the later rounds. So I think with Bucky Irving, you've got a guy who's going to be able to spell Rachaad White, and I don't think there'll be much drop off. Definitely some drop off in the way. Rashaad's obviously a much bigger back. He's a stronger back as well, but there's something to be said about Bucky Irving and what you've seen on tape in college is what you see in the NFL on tape through the preseason games. He's often making the first defender miss, gets up to top speed very quickly, shows great burst and acceleration. He's not going to be a home run hit, but he's just going to churn out those tough yards for you and pick up some kind of distance ones too. And he's shown that he's effective as a receiver out of the backfield. And his pass blocking surprised me as well. Usually for a guy, especially at that size, pass blocking is all just about heart and will. And he's certainly got it. Just throwing yourself in front of a guy and giving that quarterback that extra half a second. And he showed that he's willing to do that. So I think, as starting there as backups, I think that, I don't think like other people have put out there, fantasy people talked about whatever, that he's going to take Rachaad White. I don't think that's going to his job at all. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Rachaad is primed for a really strong year, somewhere around 1,100 yards on the ground, probably another 400 or 500 through the air, 10, 12 touchdowns, another 50 receptions. I think he's going to be an absolute stud this year. running behind this line, in part to a Graham Barton. Another guy on that offensive line who's kind of really surprised me. The first day I saw him at rookie minicamp, I said, wow, this dude got a quicker get off than I thought. And I talked to Liam Cohen on my podcast, and I brought that up, and he said, that's the first thing our staff said when we saw him, in person. Wow, he's got a quicker get off than we thought. And he's shown his versatility by playing left guard, right guard, and even right tackle in the preseason games. Played right tackle in the second preseason game.
Elijah Klein.
He played right tackle in the second preseason game against the Jaguars with 24 hours notice, never practicing there at all at the position. So I think they're in a really good spot. I'm really excited to kind of not so much see, but hear. I'll be checking in with the coaches periodically about his development behind the scenes, because I think if he has a strong year, in a strength and conditioning program behind the scenes, learning the system, there's a good shot that the Bucs look at him and say, hey, maybe we don't need to invest a second or third round pick in a guard next year. Maybe we don't need to look in the free agency market for, a good veteran. Maybe we can just roll with Elijah Klein in there. And I think we'll be all set. He's developing some great chemistry with Graham Barton. They were roommates throughout all training camp. So they're already on the same page, communicating. They're at the hotel and they're running line calls with each other, next to each other. So there's great chemistry right there. So the continuity, you'd have that. And maybe you can invest like a 5th round or 4th round guy and bring him into challenge. And if he doesn't win it, then he doesn't win it. And Elijah does. And now you've got yourself a good backup along with another veteran, low-cost veteran to compete with him as well. And I think that would be a solid move for the Bucs. And then you move to their 7th round pick. And I saw someone said it, Megan said, sad about Sterling Shepard, but really excited for Devin Culp, happy for Devin Culp. I think Culp's going to be a really strong player for them. I think he won't get as many opportunities probably this year. They'll see him in some packages and whatnot, because he's that move tight end type player that this offense doesn't have. They have your traditional Wise and Cade and Payne, but and you have your more of a blocker, special teamer, and who made the roster. But I think Devin Culp gives you something different. You can line him outside wide. You can bring him in line. He's that move tight end, and we've seen the production that move tight ends have had in Sean McVay's system, whether that was directly in LA with Tyler Higbee and Gerald Everett and what they produced there, even as a 3rd, 4th option in the offense. So he'll have different set plays and series and things that will call for him to be out there. And I'm excited for him. He's a lot better blocker than I thought he was in college, that he showed in college, especially out in space. Out in space, he's a really tough blocker. In line, he's going to have some struggles, some of these really strong, powered defensive end edge rushers. But he can stick with some of the finesse ones, and you get him out in space pulling and stuff like that in front of screens or in the run game. I think he provides a lot. So as far as the latter half of the draft, I think obviously they all made the roster. I think Light nailed it again, and he's going to have solid contributions from all of these guys. So once again, from top to bottom, I think just Light and his staff. I can't not mention his staff because he'd be mad at me, but his staff from the scouts, everyone in the front, higher end titles, and all the scouts are on the road and everything, identifying players, identifying what's going to fit hard workers, intelligent, I am that man type mantra, right? And they did it again this year, and they look poised to have some really positive and strong impact, not just from the first, 4, who I think 3 of them are already starters, with Chris Braswell, maybe perhaps as the season goes on, kind of Yaya Diaby-esque, maybe takes over that starting role later in the season. And now you have 3 really strong backups that can play, I think, in a pinch. I think if you need Elijah to go in at guard, I think you're good. I think if you have Bucky coming in, he's going to be that number 2 back, spelling him. I think you don't see much of a drop off. And then I think Devin's going to have a really solid role in this offense too.
There you go. Good stuff. I want to go out to, I don't know what's going on with my mic here. I want to go out to what Barton said, because I asked Graham Barton a couple of weeks ago about Elijah Klein and his game, and here was his answer, guys. Pay attention to this here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Graham, what do you see with Klein's game? You talked about him. What do you see on the field with him?
Yeah, I think Klein's really talented. He's got great feet. He's got great hands. You see it come out a lot in pass protection. Sort of just the way he can move his feet and mirror defenders and sort of react at a pretty high level. And then he's great with his hands. He throws his hands off the jump. He creates disruptions, and And I think you see, a talented player in there. And just like me, he's got to continue to develop, and we got to continue to learn. But I think, there's the building blocks for a really good player for sure.
And see, to me, I think, that's key. You said a building block. That could be a building block that eventually will start next to him at left guard. Knock on wood. I think, hopefully Bretterson can stay healthy and also be more effective than Matt Filer. And of course, what they had there last year. Another guy that I thought was kind of a surprise. I don't know about you. Two guys, actually. Marcus Banks, who nearly sawed the wide receiver in half.
Washington, yeah.
Yeah. And then also Keenan Isaac, who, according to Pro Football Focus, had 91.2 rating. What gives here? Do you expect both of those guys to come back on the practice squad? And are you surprised, especially with Isaac being cut?
No, I thought that Isaac played well. I thought he was probably one of the better cornerbacks to play for them. I didn't think they're going to move off Josh Hayes. Again, led the league in special teams tackles. That's right, the league, not the Bucs, and even received an All-Pro vote for his special teams performance last year. I didn't think they're going to move off him as he can transitions from a safety / nickel towards the outside. So it really kind of came down if they're going to keep that extra one, because, you look at the way the room is shaped. You've got your starters with Jamel Dean, Zion McCullum, Bryce Hall, and Josh Hayes. Those are your four outside cornerbacks. The Bucs really put an emphasis on nickel cornerback depth this year. They had Christian Izien as a holdover. Then they added, obviously, Tavier Thomas and Tyke Smith, and Thomas and Izien both got cross-trained at safety this year. So now you're already at 7. Antoine Winfield, Jordan Whitehead, and then obviously you throw in Kayvon Merriweather, who, if anyone watched that Cincy game, he jumped out off the page right away. So you're at 10 defensive backs. So it's always going to be like, okay, are they going to keep one person here and one less person here if they were going to keep Keenan Isaac? But they decided not to, and the guy they decided not to was, and this kind of trickled down to the wide receiver room as well with Cody Thompson. Tyreek Funderburk is a guy who made it over both of them, and he had a really strong offseason, starting all the way back from rookie minicamp, made splash plays into OTAs, mandatory minicamp, and then training camp until he got hurt against joint practices with the Jaguars. He should be back. I'm told it was an injury. He's out of the walk. He was in a walking boot. It was an injury that he played through, even though he probably shouldn't. But you're an undrafted guy. You got to do everything you can. But they shut him down, so he'll be healthy. He should be good to go by week 1. But if he continued to play, the injury would have got worse. He could have missed an entire season. So they had him shut it down, and he should be ready to go for week 1. And that's the choice they made, right? They kept 5 wide receivers. Again, I mentioned, the first couple weeks, you got Raheem Jarrett on IR till week 4. You can elevate some of those wide receivers if Shepard comes back. If he doesn't, maybe you slide a guy like Tanner Canoe there onto the practice squad. But Ryan Miller, Cody Thompson, you can elevate those guys and have them come up from the practice squad to kind of fill that 6 wide receiver if you need it. But they didn't want to risk, obviously, getting Tyreek Funderburk through waivers, because he's probably going to be on some people's radar after the performance that he had. At least in the Bengals game and joint practices, and just kind of as a college athlete. So it's one of those things where it's you kind of have to juggle, right? Roster moves are going to be fluid for the next couple days, I think. There could be a situation where they kept him to the initial, let all the madness come, all the cuts go through, all the waiver claims go through, and then they bump him down and bring somebody up or bring someone else in. But he made the 53-man roster on the onset. I thought he deserved it. Thought he played pretty well. And yeah, congratulations to him.
Yeah, congratulations to him.
He's one of 2 undrafted free agents that made this team, and the other one was Cam Johnson, the wide receiver from the widely regarded Barton College. And he missed a lot of camp. Again, you look at Tyreek Funderburk, he missed the last 2 weeks of camp. You look at Cam Johnson, missed the first 2 weeks of not camp, but like preseason football, got injured right before preseason football started. And then Tyreek, injured the last 2 weeks of preseason football. Both of those guys did enough in the offseason to say, hey, we want them on their team. And you're keeping Tyreek as your 11th cornerback and Cam Johnson as your 5th wide receiver. So both of those guys, stood out and showed the Bucs enough in the time that they were on the roster and healthy that they wanted to keep them around. I also wanted to point out too, when you look at this team and what the Bucs have done we talked about 44 out of 53 guys, right? On this roster, we're drafting and develop them. Out of both offense and defense, and even special teams, only 2 starters on this team were not drafted and developed by the Bucs. That's Baker Mayfield and Ben Bredesen. Every other starter along the offensive line, the skill position, running back room, quarterback room, defensive line, you look at it and they are linebacking core, secondary, drafted and developed. Obviously, Whitehead left and came back, but still drafted by the Bucs and developed by them. So that's just another testament to Light and his staff, just the amazing job they've done.
Yeah, Jason Light, Mike Greenberg, Jacqueline Davidson, John Spytek. I mean, just bravo with how to build a team. And, once again, the whole talk was once you lose Tom Brady, your team is done. You're taking that cap hit, and they've been able to find out and figure out the last couple of years how to build through the draft. And a player like a Culp and Tyke Smith, I like a Tyke Smith. I've talked to him, and he talked about. I asked him, who do you emulate, and he said Antoine Winfield Jr. Throughout, is that what you see with Tyke Smith when you see him out there in training camp? I know it's a little bit early, but do you see some of those flashes of Winfield Jr. in your opinion?
Yeah, I think you see a little bit of his game, a little bit of Whitehead's game. I think he's in the perfect landing spot. Obviously, Bulls' defense is similar to what they ran in Georgia. He's got a very interesting skill set where he can play in the nickel, but he can also play safety, but he can also play that star linebacker role. And, he's a guy who's not afraid to hit. He's not afraid to send the blitz. He can cover the back half of the field. You probably don't want him doing that as much. But he's a guy who's, really physical at the line of scrimmage and physical throughout the routes at the corners. And I mean, the wide receiver is going to be in tight ends for that matter too. Backs if they're running underneath. So he's got shades of both of those guys. And I think he's going to be a tremendous addition to this team. There was supposed to be a nickel cornerback competition, but after rookie minicamp and after OTAs and mandatory minicamp, he kind of it was his job. He took it that early. And you saw, Christian Izzy and Tavier Thomas playing a lot of time in the preseason before, Izzy got hurt, playing safety more so than nickel, because Tyke locked that down. So it was a chance for them to get him reps at safety and kind of show them what he could do there to see his versatility. So yeah, I think he's going to be a heck of a player for the Bucs for sure.
All right, good stuff, JC. Harry, do you got a question for this guy? Because he's been killing it tonight with all his knowledge and all his insight.
Nope. Got everything. I've heard everything he had to say on that.
Love it. JC, go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, my friend.
Yeah, for sure. You guys can follow me at JC Allen NFL right there, the Twitter hashtag. Got everything going on, a one-stop shop for everything Bucs, you name it, whatever's going on, Bucs, whatever I'm finding, PFF grades, snap counts, etc. I'm your man for it. I got everything on there. So just follow me there. You can still follow other people, but follow me. I just cracked 5,500, had 500 followers since the draft. So shout out to the
nice.
Showed me and supported me, the love and I definitely appreciate that. All my work's over at SI Bucs Game Day, Sports Illustrated's Bucs Game Day, their only site covering the Bucs. Got a bunch of stuff over there. We're continuing to pump out content as the season comes. I'll have a couple signature pieces, so keep an eye out for that every week. This upcoming week into next week, I'll have my bold predictions, my season outcome predictions, and my superlative awards, predicting those. So those will all come out within the next week and a half. And then during the season, after every game, Monday, I'll have my extra point column. After every game, I'll have my 3 up, my 3 down. After every Monday, I'll have my extra point column, unless it's a Tuesday, Thursday. You guys know how it works, which is just my biggest takeaways from the game. I'll have through the spyglass, which is just kind of scouting the opponent, what the Bucs win record has been and what the last matchup looked like, what's changed for them, what's new for them, and just scouting their top 3 players on offense and defense. And then I'll also have keys to cannon fire, which will be my 3 keys to victory to a Bucs victory. So those will be out, plus many more articles in between, exclusive interviews. And we'll also have my podcast going, the Pirate Parlay podcast over on the Sick Podcast Network. We'll be keeping it rolling over there. Got plenty of guests lined up, plenty of fun things going on in the season. Once the season rolls around, we'll start doing having behind enemy lines and bringing guests in to kind of preview the next opponent. Tuesdays, hopefully we'll still be bringing players on like we did last year. Got a bevy of them lined up. And who knows, we might have a guy coming on every week to kind of break down the game that was and the game that will be. So we're working on some things over there. So a ton of things going on. Always staying busy, always staying active. Always appreciative of you, Peter. Not so much of you, Harry.
Hey, happy anniversary, bud.
I love you. I gotta mess with you. And that's it. That's about it.
JC, all you gotta do is just follow me and get some good picks. You might make some money this year.
There you go.
We'll see. We'll see.
It's been a really, seriously, man. It's been a, I tell you what, man. I've been pretty blessed, man. For the past couple of years, it's been sick. It really has. I mean, if I could duplicate this for 3 years in a row, what am I talking about? For 4 years in a row, that would be like, it's never heard of, JC. It's really, really, really sick.
Well, that's what we need to do more of. We need to do the over-under show also here.
Just to answer Scott's question before we get out of here, Wolford will come back to the practice squad. He's made it very clear he wants to be in Tampa. He loves the team. He loves the room. He loves the area. He declined an option to go to the Rams last year mid-season to be their starting quarterback when Stafford was down and they were dealing with a backup to stay with the Buccaneers. Of course, they elevated him to the 53-man roster. But again, he's sticking around the Bucs. I don't envision him going anywhere else.
All right. Great stuff there from JC Allen of Sports Illustrated. Thanks a lot for your time here on The Evolution, my friend. All right.
Always, guys. Talk to you soon.
Right. Yep.
Take care, JC.
I mean, he has it all covered. I mean, did you get all that? We got a quiz afterwards. All that information, all the promotion there. I mean, he's just doing lots of things here. All right. Let's go back out to the the phone lines are open. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Want to go out to Instagram Live. And Matt says, yo, this guy was my Uber driver with Uber. Appreciate you tuning in. That's what we do here on The Evolution. We're always promoting myself to, going out there, Uber in the Tampa Bay area, taking people around. And, sports talk comes up. Who are you? You got a great voice. I've been asked that by lots of people. And I do the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. I do this. I'm the Rolex reporter. And it goes from there, and I give out my card. So thanks a lot for tuning in and the support as always. Sad about Sterling Shepard, but really happy about Devin Culp, the rookie making the team. Thanks a lot, Megan, for the comment.
Oh, yeah.
Ralph Williams, bodyguard of the Berg, who will join us on Wednesday for Turnbuckle Talk as we talk about Sid Vicious there passing away. Hello, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Ralph, appreciate you. Shepard not on that TB12 method as he is the same age as Mike Evans. Good point. I mean, again, it goes back to it, right? Mike Evans still playing at the prime of his career, knock on wood, hopefully no injuries at this juncture, and he's been able to take care of himself, and that's the reason why he earned an extension. The receiver the last couple of years has not been able to stay healthy. So that's why I say, once again, appreciate it being Bucs fans right now that you've got not only two first-class citizens and Evans and Godwin who go about it being professional, but also are also able to, most likely stay healthy. Of course, Chris Godwin coming off that injury a couple of years ago, but he hasn't been off injured throughout his career. And Evans, he's had his injury concerns, but overall, consistently in the last couple of years, he's been able to stay healthy. So it's a good thing. I just saved a bunch of money by switching to Geico. Thank you very much. Gauge what's cut today. The Hill Mark says, damn, JC is bringing his A game. Thank you for the in-depth answer. Much appreciated. Absolutely. Thank you, Hill Mark. Frankie there from Wisconsin for calling in. I will do that. We'll go ahead and get some sound effects if you want to call this show. If you're a regular caller, Broadway like you, I don't know what kind of sound effect. I don't want to get killed by YouTube or Facebook, but if there's a sound effect or some type of jingle, more or less a sound effect that you like me to use every time.
Do the Green Bay jingle for him. He'll appreciate it.
Who? Frankie? I doubt he would do that at all. Yeah.
This guy sucks.
Okay, so we answer that question. Thank you, Broadway. Megan says, exactly. Appreciate the insight, JC. Thank you, Tim. How is the health of the safety we drafted from Georgia? So far, so good. Like I said, I talked to him a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you heard that sound bit. I got to cut that sound bite up where I asked him who did he emulate coming into the league. And he said, that's funny. the coach asked me that same question, secondary coach, and Rapono asked me that and said, who do I want to emulate? And he said Antoine Winfield Jr. and Buda Baker and guys like that. So that's a good thing. Seems like a
pretty good people to want to follow.
Yep, absolutely. It's what it's all about. And, Antoine Winfield Jr. being the best safety in the league, that's a good start. You pick his brain. And then eventually you would think Rondé Barber, being the statesman he is and being a guy that represents this Tampa Bay Buccaneer organization as a Hall of Famer, would also give him a little bit of insight. And you're a sponge at that point where you're taking everything in. And I think he's that type of kid, especially being from that program of Georgia, knowing how to win and being taught how to win and coached up on how to win. So good stuff there, Tim. Thanks a lot for the comment.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Christopher Cole. 6 Washington Huskies on the team. It goes back to Jason Light and his formula of getting guys that are on winning programs and also know what it's about when it comes to championships and winning football. And I don't think make no mistake about it. I think there's a reason why you have 6 Washington Huskies, because that's a great program. And they know how to win, and they also know how to carry themselves. Good character guys, captain of their team. Talk about that, Harry, with this Buccaneer team. It's always been there, where Jason Light and the organization, they take great pride in getting guys that are captains of their teams and also all about winning football.
For the most part, Peter, most teams and most general managers try to keep that type of persona with their teams. But Jason Light has taken it to a new level. This Buccaneer team, and I've said this many a times, I've been very critical of previous head coaches. But this particular general manager, what he has done, I've never seen done in the 58 years that I've been on this earth.
Wow.
I mean, being able to retain players, every single person. I mean, you're sure you're going to lose. I mean, how many times did we say, oh, it's Mike Evans, he's going to be gone. Oh, it's Chris Godwin, he's going to be gone. Oh, it's going to be this player, he's going to be gone. It's just he continually builds that culture. He's done an extraordinary job and has had very good results because of it. And it shows.
Yeah, it shows. And you mentioned on this team how young they are, how they went from an older team with veterans and guys that, at the end of the day are not able to stay healthy or just getting paid, to trying to go for a Super Bowl the last couple of years. They were Tom Brady, to a team that's very young, that it could be very productive. You still have the veterans on here, but a very exciting team with lots of talent and a team that's able to, the last couple of years, right? I mean, 3 straight NFC South titles, 4 straight playoff appearances, and they have an opportunity to win another NFC.
Well, I picked them again. And again, people that know me and people that follow the shows and they follow what we do, I don't really like to particularly play proposition bets. I mean, I think they're for suckers. One day we're going to get Nick from FanDuel TVG on here. He's really good professional handicapper as well. And he will tell you the same thing. It's better to bet straight wagers, but prop bets, they're a little bit tough. I took the Buccaneers at 4-1 to win the division. I couldn't help myself. They've won it so many years in a row. And with the in the age of the New Orleans Saints and how bad Carolina is, Atlanta is about the only team that could really, really give this Buck team a run for their money this year. And I just don't think it's going to happen because of one player that they brought on, and that's one Mr. Kirk Cousins. They're bringing him in to be the savior. And I don't think it's going to happen. Stay away from the prop bets, but if you do want to get one, try to get 4-1 on your money. Take the Bucs to win their division this year.
What's a team that we're not talking? I know we're talking about the Falcons there, and everybody's getting all goo and gaga about Kirk Cousins, but they do have weapons on it, right? They have Kyle Pitts there.
Yeah. What has he done? That's another thing I want to talk about. And I love the Florida Gators. What has Kyle Pitts done in this league?
Nothing.
And I got to be honest with you, man. His confidence. You know what? I'm going to compare him to a defensive player, Peter. Kyle Pitts. Jadeveon Clowney. Kind of sound familiar.
It does. It absolutely sounds familiar, and I'll tell you why.
And even a statistically worse career than what Jadeveon Clowney had, and he was on the defensive side of the ball. At least Jadeveon had one good year. His rookie season was incredible. But what has he done since that rookie year?
Not really anything. It's a great comparison because the potential is there. The flashes of brilliance for Pitt and a lot of people would say, well, the reason why he hasn't been successful in the league is because he's never had a decent quarterback. So now some of those excuses will go by the wayside because they have Cousins. I'm not necessarily sure of that because, again, I get it. He's athletically gifted. He's got everything. But it doesn't necessarily mean because you do that in college that it automatically transitions over to the NFL. We'll see, because the excuses are done. If he doesn't produce this year, then he's going to look like a bust. And right now, I hate to say that word, but you have to associate it with it. And you talk about Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney, as much success he had in college and came onto the scene and everything like that.
Jadeveon Clowney was
he
a
had
beast.
some years.
That not years, Peter. It was 1 year.
Yeah.
That was his rookie season. After that, I mean, he was just pedestrian. He was not the number one pick that people thought he was supposed to be.
He seems like a player that not only takes all plays, but also just doesn't give the attitude.
Got paid, brother.
Right.
And here's the answer to your question. We're going to bring up the old Fred Morris. His cousin is 17-60 against teams with a winning record. If that is true, what would make you think that he's going to be the savior and the end-all be-all? They still haven't addressed that offensive line, and that defense was a bunch of smoke and mirrors. And you talk about old? Come on, man. This team is not what people think. I could be wrong, but I'll tell you what. People that have been making my plays for the past 3 or 4 years, I've been right a lot more than I've been wrong, and I really think this Atlanta team is smoke and mirrors. Don't be surprised this team finishes third in the division.
Wow. So who's second at this point? It's the Bucs and it's the Saints?
It's going to be the Saints more than likely. Wow. That's just my opinion. I just don't think that Atlanta's all that in a bag of chips. I don't. You're right, Peter. Look, you got a lot of talent on this team, but you've done nothing to protect this talent. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And especially in the defensive side of the ball. And I don't see them scoring 40 points a game. You and I laughed about it. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy and I, the three of us were laughing about it, even with Leo Haggerty. I said, man, Atlanta's going to put up a lot of points. I says, yeah, but what good is it going to do? They can't stop anybody. They have to win 40-39 every single game.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. They had an opportunity to get a Dallas Turner or draft an edge rusher. They get Matt Judon, who's 32 years old, a little bit long in the tooth, but still productive. So they think that. And they also got Simmons from Denver. So they're banking. Yeah, they're banking on veterans. They're banking.
Pete, during the draft, you and I were laughing our ass off.
Oh, yeah.
Look, listen, man, I love Michael Penix Jr.
Right. Yes.
Absolutely love the kid. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback in the National Football League. But you had two glaring holes, one on the offensive side of the ball and one on the defensive side of the ball. And there were plenty of players, let alone you let Roma Dunze just fall right into the laps of the Chicago Bears. You don't take an offensive lineman in there to protect the guy that can't run anymore? Or a defensive lineman? Come on, man.
They got Darnell Mooney, your guy from Chicago. They're banking on him.
Did you hear that Atlanta may have to pay some fines because there was tampering involved in it? I don't know if you knew this or not, because Darnell was. Did you read about that?
I did not. No.
But yeah, there's allegations that the Chicago Bears may be compensated, and or the Atlanta Falcons are going to lose a draft pick because there was tampering involved from Mr. Kirk Cousins actually communicating with Darnell Mooney prior to anything happening. It never should have happened.
Yeah, well, Atlanta has done some things in the offseason.
And by the way, bye, Darnell.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because
really, I mean,
the wide receiving core for the Chicago Bears, besides the Bears, besides the Bucs, and besides the Falcons, are we getting too much hyped about the Lions? Because, of course, that's the second game of the season after Washington. Is Detroit being hyped up too much? And who is the team that you're looking? Are the Green Bay Packers? As much as I know you hate to say it because you're a Bears fan.
No, it has nothing about being a fan. You want me to take the shirt off? I'll take the shirt off.
You want to talk to me on the broadcast? Nobody wants to see that.
I got a wife beater on. Okay. But anyway, listen.
Yes. Jordan Love. I mean, everybody's talking about him, what he did in that postseason, defeating the Dallas Cowboys. That team nearly beat the 49ers. There are a couple plays here and there. They're able to get into the NFC Championship game. Is that one of the teams? Who's one of the teams besides the ones that we've been talking about tonight?
We've talked about this, Peter. We've talked about this on previous shows, and I'm sure I'm sure a lot of the web heads that are out there have already heard me say this. There are teams in the National Football League that have really high First off, every team has high aspirations because they just want to win it all.
Yeah.
Okay. But there are teams that are being very, very overrated. And in my opinion, and again, not anybody else's opinion, but in my opinion, the Detroit Lions, number one. This team is not as good as what people think they are. They call this team a vaunting defense. Let me tell you something. They went out and had to draft a whole slew of corners and safeties, okay? Because that defensive line as well doesn't get pressure. You got one guy that's been getting pressure on the quarterback. Please, Lions fans, don't start sending me hate mail. You know it just as well as I do. Your quarterback, you just signed him to a multi-million-dollar contract, and he's not even the best quarterback that's on your roster.
Yeah.
So let's eliminate Detroit. You know the other team that's going to have a down season this year, that's supposed to go to the Super Bowl, one of the tops, they're an AFC team, the Buffalo Bills. They're going to have a hard time putting up a lot of points. And let me tell you something, Allen probably will have statistically his worst year. And third, you ready, Pete? This one's going to shock a lot of people.
Yeah.
The San Francisco 49ers. They may not even make the playoffs this year. And out of that, and out of those teams, I feel most confident in order. Buffalo having a worse season, then Detroit. I'm not as confident about San Francisco, but you can't lose that many players, and you can't be a bridesmaid year in after year after year after year, and then expect to be something great. San Francisco was a great team 3 or 4 years in a row. I just think they're going to regress. Those are the teams I think you need to stay away from this year. And I'll tell you what, especially in the beginning part of the season, if you're going to make wagers, take the points, baby, especially against Buffalo, because Buffalo's going to have a hard time putting up points. That's just my opinion.
Losing Stephon Diggs, you got Keon Coleman there. You're not sure what you got at the wide receiving core. A lot of pressure being put on Allen. It also seems like that window is kind of closing, if you will, when getting rid of Diggs, because there is so much uncertainty. But we'll see what happens. Of course, the AFC is owned by the Kansas City Chiefs. You talked about San Francisco, Brandon Ayuk. That distraction in itself, you're not sure if he's going to get a contract extension or be traded. You know, that's a player that had 70 receptions last year. I get it. You have Debo, you have Greg Kittle. I don't know. I think you may be on to something. And you're exactly right. The Lions. I mean, I still have question marks about Goff. I know they had to sign that extension, but already Gibbs is hurt with the possible hamstring, maybe even the ACL down the road. He's had leg problems, and I'm not sure what they did defensively for everybody to jump up and down about them, especially with Carlton Davis, who's on that team. And we know that he can be a top corner in the league when he stays healthy. But the problem is the guy can't stay healthy. So who are the teams that you would look out for that people are not talking about, besides, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Well, a lot of people are going to be talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You really need to look out for them. Teams to look out for this year. The Bears, not because I'm wearing a C jersey on them. It's going to be very exciting. I've never seen, as long as I've been on this earth, a quarterback that's being drafted number 1 overall that's actually coming into a system as stacked as this one. You have potentially 3 Pro Bowl wide receivers. You have 2 Pro Bowl tight ends. You got 2 stud running backs, a formidable offensive line, and you're going to have a top 5 defense. Man, you're going to hand the ball off and throw the ball off of play action. I can line up behind center and take this team down the road. Another team that I think could really succeed this year. Great question.
How about the Chargers? How about the Chargers?
The Chargers, no, because Harbaugh is notorious. It takes him a couple of years to really get him going. I'm going to give you a dark horse team. I'm going to give you the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay. Geno Smith. You know, that the Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, Kenneth
Why
Walker. I mean, it's certainly possible.
Why not?
I think the Rams. I think the Rams are definitely in that conversation. As much as I hate to say it, with
Yeah.
Stafford, Puka, Cooper Kupp coming back from injury, although
why not? Did they solidify the running game though? That's one of the few teams I really haven't looked at too much.
right.
I've been really trying to concentrate and put all my efforts into teams that were in the playoffs that year, and then rewatch a lot of tape. And I want to circle back when you asked me that question about which teams do you think that could regress. And the reason why Detroit fell off my mouth, came out of my mouth first, it's not because they're a division rival, okay, of my hometown team. It's because what I watched in the playoffs, they were so lucky to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sorry, Detroit fans. Tampa was 2 plays away from beating you. You let them, and you just kept them in the game the entire time, and you were a better football team. But better doesn't always make you get across the finish line. Sometimes it gets lucky. And the Greek will always tell you this: I'd rather be lucky than good any day of the week. And then they're going to say, oh my God, did you see what they did against Frisco? And for those reasons, when San Francisco is going to regress this year is because exactly what Detroit did. Detroit addressed their secondary, they never addressed their defensive line. Too many teams are doing this, Peter. It's not looking good. But then again, salary cap's got a lot to do with it. There's so many different variables that you and I know, and we always talk about it. But
Sure.
it's just
it's all predicated up front. It's all about your cornerback, your back end is better when your front end is able to put the pressure out. Some great questions here by Chris Lee. Thanks a lot for tuning into the Evolution. Let's get to some of those questions here again. Facebook stars,
answer this.
YouTube super chat. Will Bucky Irving be the backup to White, and will he be used in the passing game? I think it'll be really good to use him. I completely agree with you. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're also going to give White that opportunity to rest. And you look at this back, and I know we've talked about it with Warwick Dunn, and maybe the comparison is asinine at this point, but the shiftiness, the explosive nature, making tacklers miss, he's not going down. Yes.
He's a completely different running back from Warwick Dunn. When Warwick Dunn was running up the middle of the line, J.P. Peterson, everybody knows who he is. He said it best. I mean, he would get low enough, and his pad level would be so low that defenders couldn't really see him, and all of a sudden he appeared, and he was gone. This is not the same type of running back. Listen, you might see a series where Bucky Irvin's going to come in to give, running back White a little bit of a break. But I promise you, there's going to be enough touches for Bucky Irvin to be in the game. No one's talking about a possible punt returner, okay? Let's talk about the possibility of being another Tariq Cohen. There was nothing wrong with that. Another running back, because let me tell you something. People don't realize that Rachaad White can catch the ball out of the backfield. Bucky Irvin can catch the ball out of the backfield. So now you have a dual threat. You remember those wheel routes that Tampa used to get burned on? Well, you know what? They're going to be the ones doing the burning. He's going to be a third down specialist. And you know what? I didn't see what J.C. Allen was talking about. And I think it was J.C. Allen, or it might have been the caller from Wisconsin, when he said that he has a propensity of wanting to put his nose into a block. Now, you don't want Bucky Irvin blocking too many guys because he won't finish a game for very often. But he is that gadget player that can really, really keep defenses in check, because that'll make a lot of one-on-one matchups. Because let me tell you something, man, speed kills.
It does.
Forget it. It does.
And especially when you get that speed out in space, and on top of it, the toughest transition is not a guy, figuring out vision and patience and everything like that. The toughest transition is when he is on third down in those pass protection situations and he doesn't get Baker killed. He needs to do a better job with pass protection. So we'll see that. Let's go.
And again, the word gadget doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing.
No.
Not every team has a gadget player that can play multiple positions like that.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, he can line up in the slot. He can line up as a tailback. He can line up as a wide receiver. I mean, he can be a punt returner. I mean, Peter, it's endless for him. But I don't want the fans that are out there for the Buccaneers or the people watching this program thinking that he's going to take 2 or 3 series a game from Rachaad White. That's just not going to happen. Not with this OC. This offensive coordinator actually believes that a running back needs 15 to 20 touches a game to get him rolling. And ladies and gentlemen, watch out, because this could be a top 5 to a top 8 running team in the National Football League, led by one Mr. Rachaad White.
mark it down, especially with, Graham Barton being added to the mix there as, solidifying that center position. And now everybody coming back with Tristan Wirfs on the outside, Cody in the right guard spot, and of course Luke Gedeke and Breederson at the left guard spot to solidify that line. We'll see how it works out, but much more physical at the point of attack, much more athleticism, if you will. And certainly not to take away from Dave Canales, but Cohen's offense, running schemes seem a little bit more in depth, if you will. There's more plays.
It's not a run off left tackle, run up middle, run off right tackle.
2 yards.
It was almost as boring as what the old Chicago Bears did with Walter Payton. Everybody knew that Payton was getting the ball, and they knew exactly where the ball was going. The difference was, well, Payton could actually run against them, even though they were coming. It's not yesterday's NFL. This offensive scheme that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to employ this year, there's going to be a lot of motion, and a lot of that motion is going to be coming from the running backs. You might see 2 running backs coming out of the backfield, lining up as wide receivers, and a wide receiver moving in motion and taking a handoff. You're going to see a lot of crazy stuff this year, and I, for one, am very excited to watch it.
And I think you have to be excited about Jalen McMillan and his emergence as a third wide receiver, winning that role. Trey Palmer being a fourth, having the most speed on this team, and possibly Johnson, number 9, who will most likely change. Cam Johnson, how they're going to use him with special teams, might also use him in the passing game as a weapon. Now, you're not the only one that's talking about Irving. And of course, Chris, thanks a lot for the comment. We'll get back to your comments and the rest. Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated says, after watching training camp, that he believes Irving is a factor in this offense. And also you have Sean Tucker, who is surprising, who has also stepped up. So you look at last year, that running back room was most likely a weakness. Now with Tucker's emergence, Bucky Irving adding him to the mix, and then having White, it certainly seems like, Harry, it's a strength.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be a strength. Definitely, Peter. You don't have to go single shot on that. I don't really have too much to fill in on that one.
Okay. All right. Let's go back out to award-winning analysis there by Harry the Greek.
That's me, buddy.
All right.
At least I'm going to give it to you straight. I ain't got much to add to that, bud.
Straight no chaser, as the great Rick Brown of Lakeland Ledger fame used to say on this show. Straight no chaser, big-time Washington Commander fan. We'll see if we can get him on the show. I'm your host, Peter Blake. It's the Sports Web. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Thank God for this show on Monday and Wednesday nights, before, after Bucs games, before and after USF games. Because I tell you right now, with the other job, you know this all too well, I would absolutely go friggin' nuts. But it's a joy having you on. By the way, Rays fans, I didn't forget about you. Randy Arozarena. Hello. A 3-run home run versus the Tampa Bay Rays. So I know you got to get out of here. Give me some final thoughts here, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire.
Hey, man, we're less than 2 weeks away from the NFL season starting. Just make sure you just enjoy it, man. Support your teams. Let's have a great time. And if you're going to gamble, just keep your bets low and your returns high. Never bet out of your means. Anyway, I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you didn't like it, can't help you. I'm only kidding you. Peter, thank you for having me on, buddy. We'll see you probably Wednesday night. And guess what else might be coming up soon?
What's that?
The over-under.
The over-under with Harry the Greek and yours truly here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on Wednesday night, my friend. All right?
Take care, my brother. You be good.
All right, we'll do. Let's go out to my CSB brother, Mr. Cole. Cole, welcome to the Evolution. Your confidence level when it comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 1 to 10. We already got an answer from Frankie saying 20. Where are you at on this team at this point? Welcome to the Sports Web.
Thank you, Peter. Listen, I think it's about a 7.
Okay. Why a 7? Give me a 7. Why a 7 at this point?
Because we did a lot last game, but it was against the 2s.
Okay.
I'm a old-time Buccaneer fan, so a 7 is a big deal for me. I was the creamsicle. I remember the creamsicle days when we were fighting for 6 wins every year, and if we got 7, we felt like we won the Super Bowl. But so I'm excited about this team, but I wonder about the defensive line. And I wonder, frankly, about the coaching.
Okay. I think it's a fair assessment, although I think Todd Bowles really came into his own, if you will. And I think a lot of Bucs fans would have to admit to that, even though he doesn't show the emotion that a lot of Bucs fans are used to or want to see from him ever since they had that must-win game where it was in Atlanta and then also Green Bay where you see the Glazers hugging him at the end. I think his coaching has gotten better. There's still, decisions on the field when it comes to timeouts and stuff like that.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Right.
The timeouts and the game flow and doing that kind of thing. The defense he's got on lockdown. The head coaching thing, he's a great defensive coordinator and he's got defense down. And I think the offense is going to be much improved this year. That may not be better passing number. It may not show up in the numbers, but I think it's going to be much improved in terms of rushing the ball and all this. I'm excited about the team, but I just worry about Todd Bowles as a head coach, game managing type of, you talk about that game manager type as a quarterback, but a game manager in terms of a coach. I don't know that Todd Bowles has it. And, it's funny. You don't have to be all crazy because Tony Dungy went to a lot of playoff games and was a perennial playoff power with this team. And he was not a rah guy. He still isn't.
Right. You're absolutely correct. You're completely correct about that. Of course, there was a line or there wasn't a limit, if you will, to where this team and their window closed and they had to make the move for John Gruden. But you're exactly right. All the success that Tony Dungy have is not being an emotional coach. We don't know what they do in the locker room. We've seen, some of the footage of Todd Bowles talking to his team and how much he commands the respect of his players and how this team plays for him and how the players do play for him in those key critical situations last year, especially the Philadelphia game. I get it. They were reeling. They were losing and started out 10-1. And after that, didn't win a game.
Yeah, they fell off the map for sure.
That was a masterpiece of a coaching performance by that defense, by the offense. It was a masterpiece. They absolutely dominated.
But let's be honest. It felt like Philadelphia was playing two-hand touch and we were playing tackle. Well, it really did because their tackling was atrocious.
That's not the Bucs' fault. That's not on Todd Bowles or his players. Listen, they want to come out there and play two-hand touch, which they got the best player in the world now to play two-hand touch who misses as many tackles as anybody in the league.
He does.
At Devin White.
He does.
He's a perfect fit for that team if that's the kind of football they want to play. But overall,
and as a fan, he's a great fit for that team too, because I love hating the Philadelphia Eagles, and there's no one I love to hate more than the guy who used to be here.
Well,
who reminds me a lot of LeBron James talking about I am the greatest linebacker and this, that, and the other. And at least LeBron, he kind of backs himself up.
Backs it up a little bit, yeah, with some championships,
some championships and some scoring things and like that.
Right.
But I just wonder about Bowles and I but I have no one. I'm a big. I was not a big fan of this GM for the longest time, and I kept bringing up Aguayo, kept bringing up all these things that he did wrong. But I have nothing bad to say about this GM. I will live it because all of his draft picks are going to be on this 53-man roster. When's the last time you heard that?
I mean, it's a credit again to this organization and light and what his philosophy was overall, with a lot of people saying, well, why are you taking the salary cut? Well, what happens to this team now that Tom Brady is not here? And again, those people got into a room and said, okay, who's going to best fit this organization? And why are they going to fit this organization? Their captains for their programs in Washington and Georgia and Alabama.
Yes.
And you start to see, and that's important. And that's the reason why a lot of these players have made the team, because not only do they have strong character, which again, it was a Tony Dungy trait, right? When he was with the Bucs.
Yes. But they did that too sometimes, but they didn't get the best players with the character too sometimes. I mean, there were some times in between Dungy that they got some guys with character who couldn't play worth a lick.
Right. And that's the key thing. It's not just about character. It's about guys that fit your team, that fit your culture, that fit that locker room, that fit the Todd Bowles mindset. Whether people like him or not, he gets the most out of these players and has gotten the most out of these players and deserves credit, especially last year with what they put on the field.
To your point, I remember they had this. There was this video of him in Carolina, like the week before Carolina. He said, "Listen, we went, or whether it was in Carolina or I think it was right before Carolina. He said, guys, listen, we may look like crap right now. Our record may not show how good we are, but we are 8 days away from the division lead." Yeah. And they responded to that, because in that 8 days, they and we got a lot of pundits talking about how crappy this team was, but they were in first.
Yeah.
And so I'll give him credit for that. He's got the pulse of this team. Between him and Light, they've got the pulse of this team. And as long as that holds out, and the guys, that we've got want to play with him, I'm excited about this team. I wonder, though, if, that's the one caveat for me. I wonder if when the rubber meets the road, are the timeouts going to be there? Is he going to use a timeout when we need to? Is there going to be time management situations that are done correctly? Is that going to be up to the offensive coordinator? It's usually up to the coach. I don't know. But
do you think they're better?
I do have a 7.
Do you think they're better? Do you think they're better from last year?
I do. I don't know that the record will show that they're going to be too many games better, but I think they are a better football team for sure.
Okay. All right. Good stuff, Cole. Good stuff as always. Anything else on your mind here on the Evolution?
10-7. That's my prediction. I don't know that that's going to win the division, but 10-7 is my prediction.
We got you down here, Cole.
Take
from
care.
CSB. Absolutely use that second call if you want to. We'll be back on Wednesday night,
Sure.
of course, before Bucs games, after Bucs games, and also before USF and after USF. I don't know about before, maybe at a spot, but probably after, definitely on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. We'll be busy this weekend. We'll be busy all these weekends. Football is back. It's going to be a juggling act. It's going to be this show a couple days a week, and then it's going to be covering USF football for Saturdays out there at Raymond James Stadium. Excited about that program, what Alex Golish will do. Of course, it starts this Saturday versus Bethune-Cookman. So we'll see how that all plays out. And then after that, they go to Alabama. Alabama, as Keith Jackson used to say on ABC. They got to go there, and with the new coach there. So who knows what kind of effort? They put out a great effort last year, had an opportunity to beat Alabama, weren't able to make the plays in the third and especially in the fourth quarter. Can this quarterback step up? We'll see. But not only do we got you covered on Amped Up Sports and on the sports web when it comes to USF football, but we got you covered for Tampa Bay Buccaneer football in collaboration with the JP Peterson Show. So I don't know where you need to go. I got you covered. I'll be busy. Like I said, a juggling act, doing that, doing this, doing Uber Eats, trying not to, absolutely go friggin' out of my mind here when I'm doing sales during the day, but that's, neither here nor there.
Shut up!
We got you covered. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So, Chris, thanks a lot for the comment. JC is the man. Richard, it's criminal that Jason Light has not been the GM of the year. Ridiculous with a capital R. Agree with you. Good comment, Richard. Let's go out to Roger. Bucs best team in the worst division of football. You could say all you want to, but at the end of the day, you win your division, you got a home playoff game. Maybe it is a bad division. Probably is. Probably one of the worst divisions in football. But you win your division. It's called NFL football, which means not for long. Just because you have a great division doesn't necessarily mean that translates over into the postseason, because we've seen it all too well. We've seen it. Let's go out to Chris. The Falcons are overrated. The Bucs will win in the division again. Agree with you, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah.
Coming in here strong tonight. I love it. Mayfield is better than Cousins. Agree with that. Although, this, according to Joe Bucs fan, and care of Joe Bucs fan, does a great job. A anonymous defensive coordinator, notice the anonymous, this from Mike Sando. Once again, the national media disrespect of the Bucs lives on here as the saga continues. He says he can sling it. The anonymous defensive coordinator says if he is coached well, he feels good, he's in a good system quarterback, he can get rolling and make some plays. He doesn't scare me with some of these twos. And you're like, oh, I have to do something to stop him. I don't feel that with Baker. He's a guy where he can play our stuff and he will be fine. So the anonymous defensive coordinator, who we don't know who he is, doesn't seem like he has to, or said it himself, he doesn't have to game plan for Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's just a guy. You put him in the situation, and he's just a guy. And I completely disagree. Because you look at the numbers last year, right? 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, you got 30 touchdowns. You got to count the postseason. And some of the plays he makes. And again, maybe he's not the most athletically gifted. Not every quarterback is. But when you need a third down conversion, he's putting his shoulder pad down. When you need a fourth down conversion, he's telling the other defensive player, boy, get your weight up. How many times did we see that in those situations? So yeah, there's a moxie there. There's a moxie with that quarterback. And again, you don't have to be the most athletically gifted. You don't. So this whole, I don't need the game plan for him is nonsense. So once again, it's nonsense. The anonymous defensive coordinator. What is that? The player to be named later? Is that what that is? The player to be named later in baseball, the anonymous defensive coordinator, the anonymous general manager on this show. Put your name on it. Put your name on it. All right. Clowney made a name for himself based on one hit in college. That's correct. At Raymond James Stadium versus Michigan. Who could forget? Just like OBJ did it with that one touchdown catch that the Giants took the L. Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Scott Broadway. What's going on, Broadway? People said the same thing about Aaron Rodgers with the Jets last year, but he got injured in the first game. 4 plays into the season, and you are absolutely done.
Shut
And I felt bad for Jets fans. I really did. Like, the expectations were running wild, like Hulkamania, as we talk wrestling on this show, right, on Wednesday nights at 10:30, Turnbuckle Talk. Oh, he's going to be the next Tom Brady. He's going to take the Jets to the Super Bowl. Finally, the Jets are going to win a Super Bowl since Joe Namath, and no, didn't necessarily happen. I mean, that's what you don't plan for. You don't plan for that big-time injury. Do I think the Jets have done enough in this offseason with building that offensive line around Rodgers? I think they have a better job, yes. But that's what you don't, that's what you don't really think of. But it's a part of the game. The injuries are a part of the game. So you knock on wood when it comes to the Bucs, and you knock on wood for the other teams, especially the Bucs, with avoiding those major injuries. Let's go out to Chris Lee. What about the Bengals being a dark horse? Absolutely. That's a great point. With Joe Burrow being healthy, coming in there with the new Slim Shady haircut. Of course, T. Higgins looking for a contract. Chase looking for a contract extension. Absolutely, I think the Cincinnati Bengals should be a dark horse. And let's face it, just a couple years ago, didn't they dispatch of the Kansas City Chiefs by getting to the Super Bowl and playing the Rams and only a couple minutes away from winning that Super Bowl? I think that's definitely a good choice there, Chris. Thanks a lot for the comments. As always, appreciate it. So let's go out to Broadway here. You have to have a defense and offense to win games, not just defense. Also offense, protect your offense, protect your quarterback, and make plays. Let's go out to David. What's your all opinion on the edge rushers and their backups? Because I'm not completely sold. I think that could be a big-time question mark, don't you? I mean, Yaya Diaby, is he 100%? We know he's not. We know that he's hurt. Will he be ready for Jaden Daniels, who will be a force when it comes to trying to run the ball and be mobile? We saw that at LSU. We also saw that the kid's got an arm. If you're Todd Bowles in this defense, what are you doing? You're trying to confuse him with different looks, different blitz packages. That's what you're trying to do. And hopefully you're able to be successful. Does it definitely come down to getting after him? Absolutely. Does it come down to containing him as a quarterback with your defense, not letting him outside of the pocket to make those plays down the field? Absolutely. Can the Bucs do that consistently? With Diaby, is JTS going to step up? Is it going to be Jose Ramirez? Is it going to be Chris Braswell? Is it going to be Nelson? Do they have enough? We know that Todd Bowles, when you get into that 4-man, can they get enough pressure, or do you have to manufacture that pressure by bringing somebody else? And when you bring that other player, then it leaves those corners on an island. And that's when you kind of have a little bit of pause for cause, if you will, because you're not sure what they can do. You're not sure if you're going to get beat on a big play with one-on-one coverage. That's what the offense is aiming for. Can that back end stand up? So it comes down to, once again, it's all predicated on the pressure up front, getting after the quarterback. Do they have enough? That's my question. I think you agree with that. Let's go out to I'm right. Hi, Pete. Hi, Greek. What's going on, boss? How you doing?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go on to Broadway here as we'll wrap this up. We have double threat offense, stonewall defense, and our offense protections are machines. I mean, that's the key. Your offensive line is improved. I think that's the most. I think that's the thing you have to be excited about if you're a Bucs fan. It's not only the outside weapons and the talent on the outside, but the offensive line. Continue to talk about that. I will post the reel up from Friday night talking about that offensive line. And our good buddy there, Curtis Glenn, who's one of my favorite webheads, says it best. I'm excited about the offensive line. Why excited about the offensive line? Because it's going to be at the point of attack where it's going to open up those holes that weren't there in the interior when you run with a White, when you run with a Bucky Irving. It's going to be able to protect your quarterback because we know that you got to get a quarterback at least 3 to 5 seconds to scan the field, go through those progressions, and make plays. And when you don't, what happens? Turnovers happen, sacks happen, bad things happen. That's why we say the offensive line and the defensive line are the most important components when looking at a football team. And right now, you would have to say with this Bucs team, even though, you have Graham Barton there, with what you've seen on film and what you've heard through training camp, you have to be pretty excited about this line improving from what they were last year. Fair? I think it is. Defensive line, Vita Vea, Kalijah Kancey, Yaya Diaby, right? Kancey and Diaby, your building blocks. I continue to say that. Logan Hall, can he step up? JTS, can he step up? Your linebacking core has been remade there with KJ Britt. Deloach is not making this team because he's injured. So you're going to run with what you have. Jose Ramirez, who's going to step up when it comes to getting pressure? There are some changes on this defense. I like where the back end is. I know you get rid of Carlton Davis, but Jamel Dean, he's in for a good year. And then you got the young kid in Zion McCollum who's finally going to get the opportunity. And once again, Antoine Winfield Jr., clearly the best safety in the league, paired with Jordan Whitehead, who should have never left and went to the Jets just to end the season. He shouldn't have. I'm sorry, Jets fans. Another shot. See, that's what happens when you have a bad day at your day job. You just take it out on people. I become like that. I go from being positive Pete to petty Pete. Right? Petty Peter here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's see. Good show. Go Bucs. Absolutely go Bucs. Let's go! Go Bucs.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Go Bucs. All right, thanks a lot, Pat. Appreciate you, Patrick, for tuning in. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Cohen will tell Bowles to call a timeout. They'll have people that are on that sideline letting Bowles know when he needs to call those timeouts. But I tend to have, again, this is being the eternal optimist here, so take it with a grain of salt. I tend to believe that Bowles will improve that in his game. Let's go out to Ben here, and then we'll get out to Rob. Bake didn't have much time, exactly, and still was able to have a good year, right? Just imagine if you give him that 3 to 5 seconds with the plethora, not plethora, Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, the plethora of weapons, Leo Ward, of what you're going to have on the outside. It's interesting to say the least. We, the crew, can't wait to party with you this season. Buccaneers will win the division for the 4th straight year. Let's go. I love it. Let's go! I love the crew, Rob. Always welcome here on the Evolution. I got a chance to party with you guys there at Rivers. Good stuff. Really had a good time and looking forward to seeing you guys again. Colts are my pick to be an underdog or a sleeper team with Anthony Richardson, okay? Or Denver. we'll see about Denver. New rookie quarterbacks coming in. Again, CJ Stroud, it doesn't grow on trees. Could Houston? Nobody's mentioning Houston. Is Houston a team that takes that next step from being a playoff one to winning not only the division, but being in the AFC Championship? And because you have a young quarterback in a CJ Stroud, and because you got a veteran in Diggs and all the players and the weapons that you have there, could they be a team that is under the radar? I mean, well, with their performance last year, you would think they're not going to be under the radar. Colts, Anthony Richardson, we'll see if he could stay healthy. He wasn't able to stay healthy. Denver, Bo Nix, Sean Payton finally has his quarterback. Is this the guy? Is this the guy that's going to take? I think they have some weapons there, but that's a tough division, right? I mean, the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh coming in, Justin Herbert, new wide receiving crew, but you know what Jim can do in his first year. Of course, it all runs through Kansas City. And you know that the Raiders are going to play tough no matter who their quarterback is, whether it's Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connor. Pierce is going to get them to play as tough as they want to play. It's still a tough division. So I don't know about Denver, but I understand the thought process there. David says, I think Daniels is going to be the next RG3, couple of good seasons, and then it's over. We'll see. Baker can adjust and adapt doesn't mind calling audibles, getting it done. He doesn't mind helping others on this team to get better. He's come a long way since college. We talked about it, Broadway. He's a direct reflection of this team. He really is. They like he likes to play with the chip on his shoulder. This team likes to play on the chip on their shoulder. They respond to the national media continued disrespect of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's go out to Christopher Cole. Last year, no team was scared of our running game, but this year, look out. I like your thought process there. Thanks a lot for all the people on Instagram live tuning in, giving your comments. As always, completely agree with you. Again, like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Give to the YouTube Super Chats. I love to do this content, but it's also good to get paid for it. And, of course, Facebook stars. Friend me on Facebook at Peter H. Blake. Thanks a lot to all our guests tonight. Mr. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire. J.C. Allen of Sports Illustrated. We'll catch up with Gene Thomas. We got a special guest on Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. Former NFL quarterback Seneca Wallace comes on the Evolution with the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty. And as always, we'll have wrestling talk, turnbuckle talk at 10:30, talking about the life of Sid Vicious, who passed away from cancer at 63. God bless his family, as that is a loss to the wrestling community. And also go to this website in case I forget to tell you, the sportsweb.live, also Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It's all out there for you. 3 things, 13 days until the NFL season starts for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know them, you love them, you got to have them. So here it is. Can you handle it? I know you can. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for fans of the Sports Web and the Tampa Bay Sports Fan, it's your time. And as always, we'll see you next time on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. As always, go Bucs.